All right, everybody. Looks like we are live. Our software, YouTube, just goes live. So I got to set this up. Close. I got to edit the settings. All right, I got that saved. Now I need to go to Facebook and start that up. Well, I'll get in and talk about everybody. Everybody kind of has equal chances the way it looks right now. We're watching this main line here that's just now crossing the state line towards Hamilton. Weather Service getting ready to put out a severe thunderstorm watch for someone. Excuse me, I just ate my dinner too. Oh, now this streaming software is not connecting here either. Oh, what is going on here? So that one's not working. Well, let's go to the main Facebook page. Let's see if I can get that working. And then I'm going to have to go share this among all my other pages. None of our stream keys are working. All right, I guess we're just going to do YouTube. Those stream keys are not working. You know, the more technology we have, the more complicated this gets. Again, the whole goal here is to try to get this going on every platform we have, and it's obviously not working. So we got our work planned out for us. I'm going to tell everybody to go to YouTube. Just a second here. Connect streaming software. That's not working. Huh. Bizarre. All right, I got to go share this YouTube channel with everybody now. And I got to find the YouTube link. One man banding it here. Got 100 of you on here. We're going to get more. Let me turn the audio off.
Let that be your second nature where you can do that. Give everything.
All right, let me copy this on a couple of other pages, and then we'll get to work. Again, the Weather Service is probably going to put out a severe thunderstorm watch here pretty soon. And the problem is Facebook doesn't like YouTube. So unless you happen to see the link, Okay. All right. So what we've got is a line of heavy rain. I can't even call it thunderstorms because there's no lightning and thunder here. What we're watching is this main line coming in, and we talked about this with the forecast through the week, and I'll be able to get on the YouTube stream here and check questions and everything. All right, we've got 200 on here now. So we've got this low-level jet stream. So think of the atmosphere like a building, and as you go up the building, we start on the elevator at the ground level, and you go up, and you get to the top of the building, you're jet stream level. Now, I'd say about the 5th floor or so is where this really strong wind is coming in from the south. And the challenge here is, when are we going to see some of that wind ducked down, be pulled down by this heavy rain? That would lead to some wind gusts which could exceed 60 miles per hour. Let's check with the Weather Service real quick. Okay, here's some latest information for the Weather Service. Okay, they're actually going to hold off on the watch right now. They're going to hold off on that severe thunderstorm watch. But again, for reasons I just mentioned, there's just not any instability out here to warrant a thunderstorm watch. But if this does start producing significant wind, you would see special weather statements come out, and then you would see, if it got worse, you'd see a high wind warning. So that's kind of what we're watching and waiting to see what's going on here. So Limestone County, less than 100 outages currently. They've got a lot of broke power poles, though, over there in Limestone County. Again, there's a lot going on out here, so let's get in here and zoom in. Let's talk about this wind moving into Hamilton. We're going to know here really soon if we've got severe wind going on. The challenge here is when the wind is basically coming straight into the radar sometimes, the upper level wind, this low level jet stream. I'm going to check with Birmingham. So again, yeah.
Do you want to go live to Facebook?
Yeah, I'm wanting to go
I
Facebook.
heard you kind of saying it. Do you want us to get it up for you?
Yeah, I mean, all the streaming keys aren't
He
working.
He said they've changed, so we can work on that.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
All right, thanks. All right, all the streaming keys have changed on Facebook. That's why I wasn't able to get on Facebook. The more you know. All right, so we're looking down here towards Hackleburg. Let me go ahead and stop the radar. Turn on the interaction here. We'll stop the loop. We'll go in here and look at some velocity. We're really close to the radar. So we get over here, and we've got, here's where the wind really changes as you go from Guin to Fayette. And the wind we're picking up, the problem is the wind the radar's kind of picking up is coming straight south, that low-level jet. But the wind is actually, in reality, the gusts are coming across westerly. So it's kind of hard to get a really good read on some of this wind. But we get in here. We're going to go ahead and see what kind of wind we've got. You know, these are all about 40 mile an hour. They got 68 there. Again, you're getting above the ground here to a certain extent because the radar itself is down here. So the radar is over here near Columbus. So what it's picking up, you're going to see a lot of this blue area. That's that low-level jet that it's picking up. And we're going to watch that area for any twisting of the winds. But man, those are intense winds there just off the ground. This is west of Tuscaloosa. And this is in the low-level jet. That's 93 miles an hour. Again, that's looking way up about 4,000 or 5,000 feet in the air. And that's the wind that's just screaming across the top of this area of heavy rainfall. So we're going to be watching closely as this moves east with time and see what happens with that. So there's our line. I don't see any signs of tornadoes forming in here, but just very heavy rain. Okay, Aliceville reports torrential rain not much wind. So that's what we want to hear. We want to hear. Been here 29 years. One of the biggest problems we have is getting these reports of wind damage from Mississippi before these storms hit our viewing area. So it's still possible. We've got damaging winds here west of Russellville, but probably not anything more than what you've already had today. We've had significant wind out of all of this. We have isolated trees down, isolated power outages going on, but I don't see any spin-up tornadoes right now with this line. Again, we're kind of going past sunset, and that's when this low-level jet stream typically flares up. Let me see what questions we got. Yep, Daniel, that's what we're waiting for. So, again, there's no... The challenge with this, the other challenge here is I don't know exactly where all these winds are because they're so isolated. So it's like tracking a tropical storm coming in. You're just basically looking at reports coming in of where the wind has been bad. And we're still watching and waiting to see what's happening. So we have this area that's filled back in rather quickly. So you got one area of heavy rain that's on the eastern part of the viewing area, and we still have these strong gusty winds that could be reaching 50 miles per hour with that. And then we've got the main line. This is the main impact. This is what I gave the storm track for yesterday, excuse me, on the main impact of this line as it moves east. So that's what's happening now. So the forecast is on. We just don't know if we're going to get those 60, 70, 80 mile an hour wind gusts. And I'm hoping we don't, but if they're going to be in anywhere, they're going to be moving through Hamilton now. So we should know pretty quickly. I'm looking into Birmingham. They got reports near Talladega, tree across the roadway. Again, you're going to see a lot of these just isolated reports. That's just outside our viewing area. Of course, this is moving towards Russellville. And once this red area gets east of your location, it's over for the night. So Russellville, your threat's probably going to be over by 8 o'clock. Same thing up in Florence and Tuscumbia. Cherokee, higher winds moving in now. But just no twisting winds here. Everything moving for Guin. And the leading edge of this low-level jet is just to the south of Hackleburg right now. In that area, let's see what happens when I loop this. And you kind of see these little, like washboards, they're kind of lined up. That's that wind rippling across the area. So, going to get a lot of wind out there, but no tornadoes showing up right now. A lot of wind shear, though. And you can see some high winds back behind here as well. This is something we'll have to watch here. Notice how that purple there, that's 50, 60 mile an hour winds. This is behind that main line here. So it's like on the north side. So these are gusty winds coming behind the main line here, about 50 to 60 miles an hour. Okay, getting reports now. Tree down on power lines in Hamilton. Trees down 30. We're probably going to see this move into Haleyville. Let me put a storm track on this. Basically, this area right here, we're going to put that east at about 50. So Haleyville around 727, Double Springs 741, Addison 757. And this may likely move north as that low-level jet continues to increase. So we may be tracking for Russellville and Moulton. I got to get me a cup of water real quick, or I'm not going to last much longer. So we're seeing that line intensify ever so slightly. Again, no reports out of Mississippi with it. But it did flare up right in extreme eastern Mississippi. So we probably got winds 55, 60 miles an hour there. Yeah, Weather Service talking about the kinks developing in this line. Let's see about. And there's going to be, and that's where you get those spin up tornadoes. I don't see anything enough for a tornado right now, though. Let me zoom out. Get down a little bit farther. Yeah, this is what they're talking about, these kinks. There's several of them. And that's just because there's so much wind shear out there. This is just west of Tuscaloosa. Yeah, there's definitely a kink there. There's some lightning there, too. So you get just to the northwest of Tuscaloosa, near Gordo. There's probably damage going on near Gordo, too, with this. And there's just a little bit. Got some little spin here, a little spin here. Zoom out. So all along this line, they're going to watch that. Damaging straight line winds. The main issue right now. But boy, let's get in here a little bit closer and see how strong this wind is here near Gordo. That's showing 84 mile an hour. It's probably approaching 70 miles an hour though. Because again, this is above the ground, but man, that's pretty intense. And the wind is changing with every move. So we've got likely looking at damage here. There's no severe thunderstorm warning there. They probably have a special weather statement. Okay, Meridian had a wind gust of 54 miles an hour as that line moved through. Yeah, they got a special weather statement out for that. And that's the discussion. Never mind. So the most intense part of this line is just on the southern fringes of the viewing area. It will likely continue to drift a little bit north. Nobody's in the clear right as of right now. Maybe Waterloo. Let me check Huntsville again. No additional reports out of Huntsville yet. So again, I'm monitoring the Birmingham National Weather Service office as we look at this main line. And notice how it gets a little raggedy up here in the northern part. That's just because the main brunt of this is just south of us. So I'll put this into motion. Excuse me. We're going to continue to see the possibility of more damaging straight line winds as this moves to the east. I expect Waterloo, I think you're just about in the clear. You're still going to see the potential for some gusty winds, but they should be less than 50 miles an hour as this moves through. 45 mile an hour gust in Russellville. Thanks. What about Huntsville? Huntsville, this is going to come in around 9 o'clock. So what is it? It's a little after 7. So, yep, it's going to start moving east faster. .51 mile an hour Huntsville. Yeah, we've had some fairly high wind gusts today. I think that logo's covering me up. So I guess I need to go over this way more. That may do the trick. Or move my... Again, a lot of you are asking, what about my place kind of things. We all have the same conditions coming in. We're just watching this as it moves east. And this isn't like tracking your normal severe thunderstorms because it's so fluid. It's changing every 2-3 minutes. The wind environment's changing. Someone just said They're discussing a severe thunderstorm watch, but as of right now, it looks like the atmosphere's too stable for a severe thunderstorm watch. It sounds odd because we could see wind gusts higher. This is where it gets complicated, where you're looking at a situation where you have the potential for these damaging winds, but you don't have any lightning and thunder. So technically, scientifically, it wouldn't be a severe thunderstorm. It would be just a gradient force wind. But yeah, we're still looking at the same type of impact as a severe thunderstorm would have. We don't have a lot of lightning. There's not a lot of lightning going on with this because we're stable. Let me check some other things here real quick. For some reason, I got to change where that logo is on there, or at least where I'm showing up on there. So we continue to see strong gusty winds moving through. Yes, this is a high wind threat. It's been a high wind threat pretty much since its existence. The challenge is there's been misinformation on social media talking about tornado outbreak that gets everybody in a uproar. But these are high winds. You're going to be fine in the middle of your house if it really starts to bear down, and you're not going to hear the thunder that you normally would associate with a severe thunderstorm. And that's all because there's virtually no lightning here. So no lightning, no thunder. But you're going to hear the winds. They're going to start howling and picking up, and you're going to hear kind of what it sounds like a jet engine. I've heard it, when I go cover hurricanes, you hear that noise and you know it's coming. Okay, just had a gust of 49 at the Huntsville International Airport. So again, 45 mile per hour in Russellville. It's not quite a derecho. We've had about a half inch of rain in some areas. Let me check Birmingham again. Birmingham's plan as of right now is to stick with special weather statements for sub-severe thunderstorm winds. Gradient winds are actually more impressive than anything in the line right now. So again, even though we're looking at this line coming in, it wants to grab your attention and say, look at me, we've got 50 mile an hour wind going on in Huntsville. Let me slide over here a little bit more. Excuse me. 'Tis allergy season already too. Let me switch the radar to high top. And it's fascinating to really watch the radar and see how quick this all changes. You go from this area of red and it just dies, and that's when you're getting these strong gusty winds. Oh, wow. So we've got, it's just so contaminated. It's just impossible to see everything that's going on. Because some of these winds are just dropping straight to the surface, and everything's going in. So it's, as I mentioned earlier, this is a lot like tracking a tropical storm, because there's things going on where you can't, it's very hard to give a heads up until something substantial develops or something that's prolonged and like you get a circulation. But right now this is very much like a river of rain that's coming through with a lot of wind in it, and it's changing as it's like a big mountain stream during this spring snow melt off. You've got rapids out there. You've got these rapids in the atmosphere. It's fluid dynamics is what it is for some of you engineers out there. So we're trying to track where these highest wind gusts are going to happen. There was a severe thunderstorm warning south of Tuscaloosa. They just canceled that. I don't think we're going to see Haleyville wind picking up. Thanks, Justin. I don't think we're going to see any lightning. There's no lightning out there right now. Total strikes 0. And this has to do with zero instability. There's the atmosphere. When we talk about instability, it means the air is rising. Right now, the air's kind of sinking. It's working against, the wind is coming in. So that's why when you get this line coming in, it's kind of being pushed to the ground more. Is the line that's over Russellville going to extend to southern Middle Tennessee? I think eventually that may end up. Let's take you into the forecast here a little bit more. And I thought we'd get a severe thunderstorm watch. There's the tornado watch down to the south of Tuscaloosa. Here's the showers and storms coming in from the southwest. Notice how all the lightning is well away from the main line here. This is where we have the wind shift. This is where the wind goes from the south-southeast to the southwest. So you can see down here towards Tuscaloosa. A lot of wind there. But go back in time to 7 o'clock. Here it's 7:20. Model's probably 20 miles off. But here's the narrow line we're tracking. This will be 8, I'll call this 8 o'clock or so since it's off. Well, the South Alabama is going to be worse because it's more unstable. They're right next to the Gulf there. So that deep moisture comes right off the Gulf. That's where the humidity comes from. If you didn't know that, that's where our instability comes from. It comes straight off the Gulf. And with that, basically the air comes off the Gulf, it rises, and it's more dramatic in the April, May season, and definitely into hurricane season, because the water's warmer. Right now the water's not very warm down there, so we fight that. The water's not real warm. It's when you get wind like this and you get a big change, you typically start to get more clouds. That kind of takes the sun out of it. Even though we warmed up to 73 today, the air is still fairly dry. So that's why this is almost like a winter. Well, it's still officially winter, meteorological spring, but you get these wintertime convective patterns that come through, and the atmosphere is just not as unstable. This is a look around 9 o'clock, right along I-65. The model shows this intensifying a bit, but it's still keeping the winds around 50, maybe 60 miles per hour. We can handle that. Of course, there will be some power outages and trees down. A little after 10 o'clock, east side of Huntsville. Once this passes you, your threat of severe weather is over. I should say the highest wind gusts are over. Yeah. Katie over the Weather Service talking about those waves they're seeing there on the radar return. So this is far from over, but it will be over by 11:30, 12 o'clock. So this is not going to be an all-night event. So as we go towards 11 o'clock, speaking of the ending, there it is. Fort Payne, Scottsboro. Let me check Birmingham again real quick. All right, nothing else. Yeah, I'd say you can go to bed after 10 o'clock in Huntsville. Well, eventually these storms will move into the Carolinas, and it'll probably knock down the fire danger. But if with the fires they've got going on there, these winds are picking up there too, and it'll be bad before it'll get worse before it gets better. But this will all move in there tomorrow afternoon. All right, I'm going to go back to radar here. I'll take the watch out since they did not issue that. Okay, back to Doppler radar. You bet. You are welcome. All right, here comes the line. It's moving into Russellville. We're going to know pretty soon if anything's going on in that, because Russellville's heavily populated area, the city of Russellville. I'm going to pause this. We're going to take a look at the wind. And again, this is kind of a scrambled mess. It's not as pronounced as what you see here. And really, Fayette's kind of the area between there and Barry with the strongest winds here. And that's where we're starting to get this kind of a kink. right here. So let me back this out. This is kind of what we watch for. There's only one of them so far. Of course, it's got a little bit of a kink there to the south. But this area is tracking more to the east. But the challenge is this changes with every sweep of the radar. Roaring through the trees, yeah. Wind has died down in Russellville. That's a good report. But it's going to come and go. It's going to pick up here in about 5 minutes. Green skies. I'm not sure. Is it briefly? Because you can get kind of a turquoise look to the sky when the transformers blow. We're not going to have any green sky due to hail tonight. There's no hail threat, really. Just had a wind gust of 45 miles an hour in Tuscaloosa. So the model guidance has been really accurate here. They're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for Tuscaloosa County. We'll get down there in a second. Yeah, Falkville, we're all in the same boat here. Let me get out of the way and do another storm track. Oh no, I dropped my coffee mug. I've been trying to break that Alabama coffee mug for 8 months. We'll see if it broke or not. All right. Let's take a look at these winds here. We always want to watch the northern one here because you can get these meso lows that'll form, and that's when you start to get like a comma head. But all along this line from Russellville to Phil Campbell, intense wind ripping through, and this will be it. Behind it, you're probably going to get some 40-mile-an-hour gusts for a while. Well, let's put a track on this here. This whole area. I'm going to move it east. I'm going to move it east at about, it's moving a good 50 mile an hour. Then I'll take it out a little bit farther. I'll do like a 60-mile storm track. So with this, storm's moving into Russellville. Tuscumbia is about 735, Sheffield 737, Muscle Shoals 738, Florence 740, McFarland Park, same thing as Florence, 740. And then we get on to Leeton around 745, Town Creek 752, Cortland 756, Moulton 757. And then you got Hatton in there at 748. Let me go in and edit this. And let's change the first city to Coxie. So Coxie around 811. And then we've got Decatur 818, Hartselle 821, Tanner 822. They're issuing an SPS, which is a special weather statement for the eastern half of Franklin. Getting reports of trees and power lines down in Russellville and Phil Campbell. They're right ahead of that main line, expecting the gustiest winds close to 50 miles per hour. So that's what we're tracking now. We've got wind gusts probably 50, maybe 55 miles per hour within this line near Cherokee and Barton down to Russellville. We've had trees and power lines down. And if you're looking off in the distance and you think you see lightning, it's not lightning, it's transformers blowing. Yeah, let me check on my coffee mug. Man, it's one tough Alabama coffee mug. It's probably the third time I've dropped it. Dropped from 3 feet and still, I guess I'll keep using it. Right. So we've got Tanner 822, Falkville 824, Priceville, and this is if this is moving at about 50, and I think eventually it'll pick up some momentum. So the worst of the winds right now are moving into Russellville along Highway 43, and I would stay home, stay in your home as this line comes in. We already had one fatality over on the Natchez Trace Parkway in Mississippi. Terrible to see that. SUV was driving down the road. I think it was Highway 43, Natchez Trace Parkway in Mississippi, and they just got crushed. There were 2 people in the car. One's in the hospital, and again, one died. Jeff's at home. They got morning duty tomorrow, Jeff and Eric. Yeah, everyone still has a chance. Lights are out in Rogersville. North side of town, the wind isn't doing anything. Well, let's hope it stays that way. So, and then we're getting on the back edge of this. So we're not only getting the little snaky look to the line on the east side, but we're getting on the west side too. So that just really indicates we've got wind that's being forced in and then down. It just heads straight to the ground, and that's why it's so isolated as far as the power goes and power lines. I think Dan Satterfield, I think he's retiring. He's been up in Maryland. Chances of a tornado. You guys want to know specific areas. I can't give you any. The chance of a tornado is pretty much equal anywhere along this line, depending on if. And a lot of you are so worried about a tornado. Again, these spin-up tornadoes would be probably 80-mile-an-hour winds, when the actual high winds may be 60 to 70 miles an hour. It's one of those nights where if we got a tornado, it would be really hard to differentiate it between that and straight line wind damage. Yeah, my Kansas Jayhawks are not doing well at all this year. There's something going on. I don't know what it is, but my wife and I talked about that last night. Last time they had a record this bad, they actually won it all. I think that was 88. Danny and the Miracles. Porch talk, you're speaking my language now. But I put in, I've got Auburn winning it all. So that $7 bet should pay about $70, I think. So we'll see. All right, let's get back into the radar here. Continue to show you some other areas down the road. Athens, 825. Greenbrier, 830. Somerville, 831. And the hardest part about having Huntsville in a storm track anymore is the fact that Huntsville is sprawled out everywhere now. So I probably need to go in and say West Huntsville, North Huntsville, South Huntsville. The Mill Creek Elementary area over there in Madison around 834. Triana, 835. Capshaw, 835. Let's make some more adjustments. Hartselle first here, 821. That's pretty much the same thing I just gave you. Toyota Field, 837. Let's make Priceville first. That's still some of the same. Magnolia Springs subdivision there in Harvest, Monrovia, 837. Marshall Space Flight Center, looks like 839 or 840. Continue to move east. Let's check Birmingham real quick. Severe thunderstorm warning just came out. Okay. All right, so let's go down there to Tuscaloosa, check on the students down south. Cancel that. And then we'll get in closer with these other ones. So they just issued a severe thunderstorm warning that includes Tuscaloosa. Damaging straight line winds, the primary threat here. Let's take a look at the velocity. Yeah, that's a pretty nasty storm right there. Looks like the worst of the wind's probably going to pass north of campus and the Northport, even north of Northport, closer to the lake up there. We got damaging wind likely in here. These are probably approaching 60 miles an hour. Let's get back in our neck of the woods. Starting to see more indication of damaging straight line winds south of Haleyville to Carbon Hill. Those are probably 50 to maybe 60. And then it gets a little cloudy up here, so it's not quite as present. But I think our peak winds are probably on the northeast side of Phil Campbell right now. But again, nothing terribly concerning with that line right now as I see it. So this is going to continue to move east. Check some of your questions here. Today's pretty much gone as expected. Thankfully, we haven't seen the higher wind gusts that we were talking about, the 70 to 80. Yeah, the storm environment is just not favorable. And Justin, no, the coffee mug survived. It's just got superficial damage from the previous drop. But boy, my Army mug, it disintegrated when it fell. Yeah, so far so good. I'm going to start clearing some areas here in just a little bit. Okay, thanks. 50 mile an hour gust, approximate, north side of Russellville. Hazel Green and Tony, Back Road Beauty, that'll be coming in about 9 o'clock tonight, maybe 8:45, 9 o'clock. I didn't spill any bourbon. This is coffee. I usually have a coffee around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We've got this awesome coffee machine now, so thank my general manager for that. 49 mile per hour in Madison. Thanks, Brett. All right, let's get in closer now. Let's switch radar sources. Let's go over to high top. Yeah, this is just, it's like throwing darts trying to figure out where the highest winds are right now, because they just don't show up well on radar at all because of all this ducting, all this quick gust, downburst, gradient wind. Oh, I hear our roof. Oh, wow, I hear our roof flapping. I got to go outside for this. I'll take you guys with me. I can hear the roof at the station making noise, like tar paper or whatever flapping in the wind. Let's see what that's all about. And then as soon as it hits, it's gone. That's how you know it's windy, when you hear the wind and not the rain from the studio. I hope we don't have any leaks now after that. That was probably a 45 mile an hour gust. All right, I'm back. All right, Russellville, I mean, the worst of the wind should be gone there. The roof. Yeah, Blount County, you guys are going to be all right for a while, but there's still these gusty winds way out ahead of it. Here it comes again. I can just hear it ripping across the... Flat roofs are the most vulnerable to wind damage because you get the wind that comes over the top of that flat roof, and the wind itself curls, and it causes it to peel up. And that's why you see those gas station awnings. They're you can't keep those upright. If you get a 50-mile-an-hour gust that hits it right, it's toppled over. So anytime I see those on a storm report, I'm like, well, that's expected when you get that kind of wind. All right, back to velocity. This is bowing out here towards Double Springs. I'd say we're going to have wind damage in Double Springs. Just the way that radar looks. And I almost have to slow this down. Let me see if I can. I'm going to do that. Just going to kind of rock this back and forth. See how quickly that area with no rain fills in? There's some dry air that's mixing in too. So that area south of Phil Campbell that just moved through Hackleburg's bowing out a little bit. And when I say bowing out, what happens is you get this little feature here, and it just means the wind is being concentrated in this area, and it doesn't usually. When you're tracking severe storms, it lasts a lot longer. This is just bursts. As we go and look at velocity. Yeah, it's that area that's moving towards doubles. And these are the kind of winds that you just don't want to be driving around in these heavily wooded areas, because you're going to get trees falling. Kind of a little notch here, south of Haleyville, but nothing too concerning. Yeah, I'll get back down there just a second. Here we go. And then I'll get up North Alabama. Down towards Carbon Hill, quick update on areas near Tuscaloosa. This is a pretty nasty storm here. I say storm, but it's mainly just wind. So near Samantha. And if you've ever taken the shortcut to Tuscaloosa on game day, you know how wooded this area is. In fact, this has got a big story along this road. We were going down to cover the Carbon Hill tornado damage. Liz Hurley knows this one well. It was, we're down there in Walker County, and it's Liz Hurley and Kim Essex and Mark Thornhill. We're all in the same car. And I think Mark's driving. And we're coming back from covering that, and this deer jumped across the road. And as that deer was jumping across the road, a semi was coming the other direction. And we don't know what happened to the deer, but we're pretty sure it was bad. And it was just like freak out city for a second. So again, there's lots of deer there, but tonight the threat would be the trees falling in those areas. Yeah, it's windy everywhere. Yeah, it's just windier in some spots. And while I'm able to, on a night like tonight, if I'm able to see where the higher winds are, they're probably 60 miles an hour, because I'm not really able to see really well where these 50 mile per hour and 55 mile per hour winds are. I couldn't understand that question at all. We're going to pass. All right, back to the radar. Sliding around here. Getting down towards Tuscaloosa. The west side of town, there's some really high wind here. It's probably 50 mile an hour winds moving into Tuscaloosa now. Let's check Weather Service, see what they've got. Let's see. Birmingham. Okay, Bibb County Sheriff's Office reports transformer blew, and it's on fire, causing a grass fire. Hurricane Ridge, County Road 29. Again, that's another thing that, boy, you wouldn't think we'd have to be dealing with, is grass fires, especially with the rain, but very dry out there. A lot of this grass is all dormant. But again, Bibb County Sheriff's Office reporting a transformer blew, And it's on fire, and it's got a grass fire going on with it too. Trees down Jacksonville, Alabama, Calhoun County. All right, back to Huntsville. Okay. Good thing. The Weather Service says they're changing the scanning strategy on the radar. So they're just, instead of going through all the layers, they're going to focus on the boundary layer and just on the lowest scans. So if you've got radar scope, something like that, you're going to notice a different version of the radar. So let's get back up into our territory. A little spin there south of Barry. Not enough for a tornado, though, I don't think. All right, I mean, the worst of the weather's over in Russellville. Phil Campbell to the west. Probably about over in Florence. So by 8 o'clock, it's going to be east of Florence and Muscle Shoals, even though your winds may still be gusty. Some of the gustiest winds are down here coming out of Winston County, moving into southern Lawrence County. Again, this is an area we don't get a lot of reports because it's the Bankhead National Forest. But winds are picking up Double Springs. I'll get you another storm track. Again, I'm not talking much about what's going on east, but you got a lot of wind east of all this action. The winds at the Huntsville International Airport were, Jessica, is that measured wind at 56? Yeah, we got some winds that are really kicking east of this line. These are, those gradient force winds. The way you get rotation is there's so much wind shear, it's a lot like a dust devil situation where you just get that wind shift, a big surge of wind, and that's why they're so spin up and quick. We'd see them though, but we don't see anything like that yet. Yeah, we'll switch over to the Huntsville the high top radar when it gets closer. Right now, the reason is you always want to get the closest radar to where the main action is, where any potential spin up tornado would be, because you're lower to the ground and you see more with it. Thanks, James. Yeah, that Athens tornado, it was in a line kind of like that. And the problem is it's so low to the ground, that was the instability was a little higher. I believe, yes, it did have a severe thunderstorm warning, but it did not have the tornado on there, I don't believe. Yep, so 56 miles per hour there in Union Grove. Russellville, Savannah, you're looking better. I think you probably know more about what's going on in Russellville than I do now. Now that main line's moved east, your winds should slowly die down unless we get a wake low behind this. Bowing in a line of storms is usually bad because that's when the wind is forced to go somewhere else. So let's get back over here. Check Birmingham real quick. The reason I'm checking Birmingham is because I want to see what's going on farther south on this line. Had a wind gust of 27 knots at Tuscaloosa Airport. Pleasant Grove. This is in the Birmingham area. Pleasant Grove being dispatched to, it's really starting to heat up down there. 5th Avenue and 13th Street report multiple trees down. Pleasant Grove. Not sure where that is. Again, that's not in our viewing area. Pleasant Grove Fire Department reports large tree down. Yeah, I'm hard to see down here in the small screen, especially when I get blocked by the 48 logo. I just wanted to make sure I had a presence on here because didn't want to just do full screen radar. All right, let's get back over here. The winds should start dying down in Florence, Muscle Shoals, all along Highway 43 down to Phil Campbell and Hackleburg. Haleyville, I think you're all clear now after this, but there's still some gusty winds. So let's focus on our area. And this line just changes its shape every 5 minutes. So Hatton and Cortland and Moulton, I expect your winds to probably increase near 50, maybe 55 miles an hour as this moves in. And by, I would say, 8:30, your threat's over. This will continue to carry on east. Killen, the winds are probably picking up there. Rogersville, Anderson. And again, we're having wind gusts even in this mess over here. I'll switch to the high top radar. Oh, here's a classic example right here for you future meteorologists. Anyone know what's going on here? In this little circle near Eva. I'll go back and forth on this. This is, man, there's a big wind gust on the roof again. Man, that was probably 45. What's going on in Eva is the air is sinking and it's pushing into this. So we've likely got some high winds getting ready to head towards Somerville, Morgan City, Lacey's Spring, Triana. So that's kind of the way this works. You get high winds coming in. This is called a weak echo region. And it's because the air is falling. It's going down. It's going straight down. So it's sinking. We watch for that with severe thunderstorms prior to tornado genesis, but this is not going to produce a tornado here. It's just showing me this dry air mixing down, and the wind is going straight down to the ground. And when that wind's forced to the ground, it spreads out, and we get wind damage. So this is in the moving towards Morgan City and Somerville. Velocity is probably not much help with this because it's not really sampling this area near Eva. That's the other problem. In order to get good information, Doppler radar-wise, you really need to have it raining in that location. When you have this weak echo region, there's no rain there, so you can't really sample the Doppler radar doesn't sample it very well. Yeah, we'll drop the first alert at midnight. Yeah, I do need an iPad, don't I? Yeah, I mean, here's the problem. I can't see any of your messages on Facebook because I'm strictly on YouTube on this one. And there's 1,600 of you viewing. I appreciate that. There's probably another 2,000 or so on Facebook. Let me check. I don't think I'm on my main page, though. Again, let me go ahead and reset this view here. You see a lot of those. See there near Sneed? Anytime, it's kind of the opposite. Usually you're looking at red on the radar to see where the severe is. But in this case, it's probably the blue areas. And I picked this up a long time ago. I was tracking Hurricane Ivan was coming in. And I started noticing we were getting the damage reports when it was a tropical storm up here with these areas of blue, and it's because that air is sinking. So that's where our high winds are more likely, where you get those blue circles on the back edge. And they're pretty well pronounced, moving towards Albertville and Boaz. Get ready for that, especially as it gets into the higher terrain. May increase your winds. All right, someone says something keeps freezing. We should be Facebook Live here on Yeah, we're Facebook Live. We got 1,500 followers on here. Somebody said, these comments. So maybe it's good I haven't seen them. The instability didn't die down because the sun went down. The instability just never was here, and we never were forecasting any instability. It never showed up. That's why when social media kept going, oh, we got a tornado outbreak. We got a tornado. It's like, this is more wind than anything. Last I checked, we didn't have any tornadoes reported in the entire country today. Oh, we've got one. And it looks like that was in Shreveport, near Shreveport. Oh, 2 tornadoes reported. Let's see. EF1 tornado just east of Texas-Louisiana state line, and the Caddo Parish generally moved east. Another brief EF1 tornado. Again, you got 2 EF1 tornadoes in an area that was outlook hatched for strong tornadoes. All right, back to the YouTube. We are on the WFF Facebook page. Again, I went in and I usually try to do it across all of them, but for some reason, all of our stream keys had changed. I don't know what happened, but I guess that's why we should have practiced this, huh? We've done it so many times, though, right? Wind is howling in Ash Ridge. Time to check weather service, see what we got. All right, Birmingham. Visibility in Tuscaloosa, 1/4 mile with gusts to 38 knots. All right, back to the radar. The line's starting to, well, never mind, I'm at high top. Let's go back to, see, this is why. Okay, here's the high top radar. You're basically looking from Jackson County, whereas when you switch to Columbus, you get a lot more detail over here. So that's why we don't shift. We're starting to get shear markers on this moving towards Birmingham. And see all these little blue holes? Damaging wind, ducting. Wind is coming out. Let's see what it's flagging. Nah, may get a tornado warning out of this. Let's see here. Let me turn this off. Where are those things? Turn off the lightning. The lightning's picking up. Yeah, I would say going to have to watch for a possible tornado with this. Again, this is down west of Birmingham. Actually, we can look at the Birmingham radar. I mean, that's just a notch there. You got to watch that really, really closely. Especially when GWX has that. There's the latest scan. Kind of got 2 areas here. You got this area right here, and then this area here. It's moving towards Cordova. Well, let's get rid of that. So we got BTI, which is Barron Tornado Index, is at a 4. The shear is about 70 miles an hour. Says it's moving northeast at 74 miles an hour. This one here, pretty much same thing. Moving northeast at 62 miles an hour. So this is what we're watching for. I think we may have a tornado forming here. This is something I would probably break into programming for here. Oh, we got the president coming on at 7. 7 or 8, I can't remember. So that's the stuff we watch for. You got two circulations. In fact, you may have two brief spin-up tornadoes forming here. You've got one near Barry and the other one on the other side of it. The shear was, I think the forecast shear was around 1,000 storm relative velocity, which is pretty intense. So where is this potentially going? This is mostly headed in this direction here. So this part should stay south of our viewing area, but definitely have to watch this. Again, we got more of these little blue patches which indicate this ducting wind. So this circulation, if it holds together, again, these often don't hold together terribly long, going to be close to Warrior around 8:45. So maybe you know someone on the interstate. This area, this intense area of wind, possible circulation is going to be moving through that Warrior area. And that's, again, that's the area on I-65 where it goes from 2 lanes to 3 lanes, and we all wish it was 3 lanes all the way. Yeah, what's happening is you see those arrows. The problem, that's the skit. It's centered on the centroid of the storm. So the storm motion itself is going northeast with that strong wind, but the wind itself is moving east. Let's see if Birmingham's talking about that cell. They're continuing severe thunderstorm warning for it. Let's check us here. Tree down on a power line in section. So again, we continue to see these strong gusty winds well east. Tree down on a power line 465, County Road 374 section. And that would be in line with the Geraldine area, seeing the strong winds. Yeah, flashpoint, that can cause like a microburst, but typically it's just coming down, it has nowhere to go, so it spreads out, and that's how you get that. So the same principle there. Well, breaking into programming there'll have to be something fairly significant going on here with this storm, so we keep the coverage. Man, that area is still just... Let's check the debris signature. That's from... Let's switch this over. Yeah, I think there's an artifact of the radar in there somehow. I mean, this is classic what you look for, precursor to at least damaging straight line winds that are probably over 60 miles an hour. Again, that's down south. Let's go ahead and zoom out. That's north, well north of Tuscaloosa. This is the view from the Birmingham radar. Again, you got all these arrows moving northeast. That's where the maximum winds are coming from the southwest. But the storms are moving east. Switch back over to GWX. And just a classic notch there. So we got these notches here. You see this one right here. Let's see what velocity looks like. Velocity really doesn't line up there. It's on the other sides of it. The fact you've got kind of a donut hole down here. Let me rock that back and forth. And it goes slow, and there's just a lot. This is a lot like I mentioned earlier, just a moving river of rain. It just kind of closed up there. I think at the very least this severe thunderstorm warning needs to be extended because, I mean, it's such a tight gradient here. You've got really strong wind here and really strong wind here. And it's in the middle of that. And you got this pink area here, high reflectivity. No debris signature yet. Shear rate's high in there too. The shear rate helps us out a lot. And you can see it really shows where the most severe wind chances are. And this is just on the southwest corner of Smith Lake. Let's see if this is inching north. It's not, so that's good. Pardon me, you can see how different this line looks the farther south you go. You got students down in Tuscaloosa, the worst of the weather has passed. It's on the east side of town there. I'm going to see if this area makes it any farther north. I know I'm zooming around a lot. Let me get to one spot and stop for a little bit. So now some high wind moving towards Moulton. I think our threat of severe weather is over. Florence, Russellville, Highway 43 to the west. And it'll be over. Probably over by 9. This line is probably going to work its way along I-65. Around 9 o'clock. Shear rate is basically, it's a calculation, an algorithm. It's almost like AI. A lot of this stuff was invented by Barron Services here in Huntsville. And I guess it would be considered AI before AI was a thing. It's an algorithm. And again, AI is going to play a huge role in weather one of these days because it's going to do pattern recognition. It's going to be able to look at the radar the way our eyes can't look at it. It's going to look at the numbers of everything. And I think it's going to help out quite a bit. Of course, there may be some false alarms too, but timeline for Fayetteville, we're probably going to see it move into Fayetteville around, I'd say about 9:15, 9:30. All right, time to check around. I guess I'll check Facebook real quick. Time for Grant. That was going to be probably close to 10 o'clock. And then on my Facebook page, I've got a whole list of the timeline. And in fact, let's draw that up and see if it's accurate, huh? I made this yesterday. If I can find it. Oh, it's in my first forecast. So here's the highest impact time frame I posted yesterday. Come on, computer. So right now it's 8 o'clock. So we're talking Athens 8:20. It's going to be close. 8:20 to 9:30. We got Decatur 8:25. Again, this is all fairly close here. So you can kind of get a good idea. I'll just leave that up there real quick. All right, let me go back to the live stream here and then check in. I had to actually water down my sand today. I've got brickwork going on my garage. I'm like, I want to come home and have sand left, so I put a bunch of water down on it. Wind damage in the Pisgah area, special weather statement. Let's see what we got here. All right, here's the latest. Again, we'll go back to radar in a second. I know this is hard for some of you to read, find your town. I'm going to alphabetize this one day. Strong thunderstorm will impact western Madison, Limestone, eastern Lauderdale, Coleman, Morgan, Lawrence counties through 9 p.m. Doppler radar tracking strong thunderstorms and a line extending from near Lexington to near Moulton to near Camp McDowell, moving east at 45 miles an hour. The wind gusts are up to 50 miles per hour. Gusty winds could knock down tree limbs, blow around unsecured objects, and lead to power outages. No hail expected with this. I'll switch you back to radar. We'll go full screen radar here real quick. So there's the radar. Let's see, Warrior, trees down. Most of the reports coming out of Tuscaloosa are 38 to 45 mile per hour gusts. There's our severe thunderstorm warning down to the south. They've extended that. That's that edge there that we've been watching, that little notch and those damaging winds there. And this is in a real rural area. So let's take a look. Now we're at the Birmingham next rad. That's just a real intense part of this Boeing segment here. Looks like, is that a TVS? Yeah. So the radar here, this TVS means tornado vortex signature. Moving northeast at 81 miles an hour. Let's see if that's really moving northeast. It's starting to, again, this area is kinking. So I would expect damaging winds in Dora. 823, Morris 833, Warrior 835. This could be significant wind damage in excess of 70 miles per hour. It's a Boeing segment. There's a big notch in there. And we're starting to, it's hard to trust this debris signature. Because see that showing up that way? But boy, it's getting brighter. The shear rate, see how that shear rate's kind of curved there? That's a classic signature here for damaging straight line winds, at least damaging straight line winds, probably on the order of 60 to 80 miles an hour. This is moving towards Dora and eventually Warrior. I'm going to put an extended storm track on this. Yeah, we're going to have to watch this for southern Marshall County. So let me track this area here. You guys have a kind of a history of storms approaching you from this direction anyway. I'm going to adjust the speed here. I've got it going too fast. We'll put this at about 50, we'll put it at 55 miles an hour. We'll take that out. So again, this is just kind of a heads up for this storm that this is showing a pronounced area of damaging straight line winds and perhaps occasional chance for a spin-up tornado. Dodge City 844, Warrior 845, then Huntsville 851, Locust Fork 859, the Bluntsville Holly Pond area around 904, and then continuing on, let's put Aniana first. So that would put it towards Albertville around 9 o'clock, which would be ahead of what we are forecasting, but we're kind of now casting right now. This has got this huge little knuckle on it almost, and that's concerning. I think there's damaging winds in there for sure. Albertville 918, Crossville 930, Geraldine 930. Again, that's if this holds together and if it's tracking more northeast than it is east. So let's delete that track. Go back. The wind's picking back up here at the station. Lightning's back. See, again, you got lightning where there's a little bit of lightning here near Double Springs too. So there's a little bit of elevated instability within this. And if we come back tomorrow and get reports of possible tornado damage from that storm, I am not going to be surprised at all. Let's switch over to the high top radar. We're getting closer. Notice all this blue area. These are very high winds above the ground moving in from the due south. But we're starting to see this east of Moulton. And this is very heavy rain, strong gusty winds. Threat of any severe weather's over out west. I'm just about ready to clear Lauderdale County. Colbert County clear. Franklin County clear. Marion County clear. The trouble spot's down here south of Jasper. And you see that the polygon here doesn't quite take it northeast as much. So even though I put you in that storm track in Albertville and Boaz and probably Douglas, just a heads up there, we're keeping an eye on that. Some high winds over Smith Lake right now. Again, we get this little blue area. That's where the wind's going straight down. It's just kind of wild to watch this radar. I'm going to slow it down. Where you see those blue areas. We've had high winds every time we've seen that. Okay, rain's picking back up in Huntsville. At least we're getting some needed rain. But here's what you look for. This is a classic look here. You've got what's called a line break. I know it's not the closest radar. We'll get in closer in a second. We're way too high in the atmosphere from the high top radar to see anything, so we'll switch to the Birmingham. And you see it looks a little different from Birmingham. It looks all together. But from high top, you can see that there's a split here, right in here. So there's room for rotation inside of this. Let's go back. Let's go to the GWX radar. Velocity. Debris. There's some kind of contamination around this whole thing. It's almost like there's a wave in here somewhere. All right, Birmingham radar. Man, it's just well pronounced there on Birmingham's radar. Let's stop the loop. That is very intense wind moving towards Dora. We're probably going to have damage there. Let me check some other things here. Yeah, Weather Service says, the main concern was the notch kink in that line that could represent a locally higher wind threat. And that's exactly what it is. Okay, back to Huntsville real quick. All right, nothing new there. Okay, so again, what we're really looking at is way south of our viewing area. But it's going to be close to clipping southern Coleman County. Storm relative velocity. Yeah, there's just... That's just a concerning storm there. And it's going to be moving south of Coleman, and it'll be close to Aniana eventually. So we'll watch. I'm going to switch this to high top. I'm going to leave the radar running real quick. I'm going to take a quick break, and I will be back. Well, I'm back. Not much has changed. But yeah, you got that huge line break down there. It's a red flag for severe weather. Want me to take a quick break?
Yes.
I'll take another quick break. I'll be back. The boss is in.
I was trying to catch you.
Yeah. All right.
We should have some in the fridge back there. If not, I'll get you one. Don't worry about
I do have one more bottle of water back there, though. I can.
it. I'm sure we've got some hidden. Go ahead and-
Okay. All right, we're back. Had to have a quick planning meeting. Let's check. I'm getting text messages too. Family back home in Kansas, they're dealing with the same kind of wind, but just from the opposite direction. It's cold. All right, Huntsville. Weather Service saying they're keeping an eye on the surge of winds in southern Lawrence County. They'll be pushing into Morgan County in the next 15 minutes. So let's take you down there. And we are now on the high top radar. Yeah, here's those winds. This is kind of the leading edge, these strong gusty winds east of Cortland, west side of Decatur. So here comes your high wind. More high wind, I should say. So I'm going to track where we have the highest winds, at least according to the radar. These are all downhill here, moving kind of east, northeast. So we've got Trinity here around 823. It's currently 822 right now. Jones Chapel, 827. Decatur, 830. Hartselle, 831. Falkville and Priceville, 833. This will likely be wind 50, maybe 60 miles an hour. It's not widespread wind. It's kind of isolated. Somerville, 839. We got south of Vinemont, 839. Greenbrier, 840. Coleman, 840. Eva, 842. Huntsville and surrounding areas, 845. Looking at Facebook. And the typical Facebook comments. Back to YouTube. Again, we're trying to get on all of our platforms here, cover everybody as much as we can. We realize some of you aren't fans of YouTube, some of you aren't fans of Facebook. We try to send one signal out and reach all the audience, even on our news app as well. Is it supposed to be severe in Hartselle? Well, we've got isolated damaging winds possible just about anywhere. Okay, tree on a car in Fort Payne, no injuries. Thanks for that report. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we got a mesoscale discussion. I'm going to read that for you. These are interesting, aren't they? Let's take that out of the water. Okay, squall line with damaging winds will continue to surge east. Some tornado risk continues, but this activity should be limited. Well-organized squall line continues in advance of a strong shortwave trough. Impressive storm relativity is noted ahead of this mesoscale convective system with 50 knots just off the surface. Given the very strong wind fields, the potential for mixing this stronger flow to the surface remains, and damaging winds are the primary concern as this squall line advances east, roughly at 25 to 30 knots. Discrete updrafts have struggled to develop ahead of the line, so a secondary concern regarding the potential for tornadoes does exist, but mainly with embedded circulations. Very windy in Albertville. Let's check out Albertville. Only areas in the clear are going to be those areas in Lawrence County, Lauderdale County, this western Lauderdale County, and Franklin County, North Alabama. Okay, getting a severe thunderstorm warning for Coleman County now. It's that storm we've been watching. They're going to put a severe thunderstorm warning out on that, and it's going to be for the southern part of the county, I would imagine. We will see here very shortly once they write that up. Yeah, that's that line break. You got to watch line breaks. And the velocity is picking up a little bit more in Addison as well. Let's take a look at the Birmingham velocity. It's been handling this better. Big notch. Right over Sipsey. Storm relative velocity. Yeah, I mean, this is just a nasty storm here near Sipsey. This is likely going to cross southern Coleman County. I imagine it's going to be in that area there. So Hayden, 852, Nectar, 902, Locust Fork, 903, Cleveland, 907, Aniana, 915. Again, this is right. Coleman is officially not in our viewing area. So we're going to keep watching this. We will likely not break into programming for this. But we've got you guys right here in that area near Sipsey, just waiting to see that severe thunderstorm warning come out. All right, we got power outage, County Road 262 in Bryant. Russellville is still not, I mean, you had some higher winds, 50-mile-an-hour winds on the north side of town. But I think your threat's over. Okay, severe thunderstorm warning for Marshall County, southwestern DeKalb County, Coleman County, Morgan County, and southeastern Lawrence County. It's in this line of storms. They've extended the, let's see what they've done here. They went ahead and issued for this whole line here. So your weather radio, you probably just got this on our First Alert weather app. Southern Morgan County, Coleman County. Again, the most intense part is in the extreme southern part of Coleman County, and that's moving just south of the dam on Smith Lake. At 8:26 p.m., severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 8 miles west of Hartselle to near Smith Dam to 6 miles west of Sylvan Springs, moving east at 50. The hazard is 60-mile-an-hour winds, and I think this is a good call because there's no real call to action when it comes to these special weather statements. Weather radios are not going to trigger. So this just gives everybody a heads up to say, hey, we got a lot of wind coming in here. And we'll continue to watch that. This looks like a knuckle south of there. Storm relative velocity. Man, that's just wild. The whole thing's kind of a mess down here. It's just a very unique radar signature. Northeast of Jasper. Likely going to see a severe thunderstorm warning continued from the National Weather Service office in Birmingham for Blount County. So let's put a storm track on here. Actually, let's switch to the high top radar so we can get this area up into northern Limestone County. And if this continues shifting north, we're probably going to end up with severe thunderstorm warning that includes Huntsville, Decatur, and eventually Scottsboro. So here comes the high wind. I'm going to dial up Decatur real quick here on our camera network. Got Athens in there. It's just raining in Decatur. Gusty winds continue there. Yeah, it's hard to see on a night like tonight, too. I don't see any tornado circulations right now with this view here. Again, severe thunderstorm warning does not include Decatur, but your weather radio likely went off. A lot of this blue here, again, these are winds that are way above the ground. It's probably going to show 80, 87. This is the low-level jet. So the radar, again, it's looking above the ground, and it's this heavy rain that brings down some of these isolated 60 to 70 mile an hour gusts. And this is, oh man, there's a big peak in reflectivity here now too. You can see how that just kind of flared up there. This is just off to the north of Jones Chapel. High winds moving again into Trinity. Cortland, Moulton, Grayson, Addison, severe threats over. And it'll be over by 9 o'clock along I-65 from north to south. As this is moving 50 miles an hour, let me put that storm track on like I promised. Let's put it right there. I don't know why that did that. It didn't give me anything. And there's your severe thunderstorm warning for Blount County. Let's just go like this. So from here we've got Decatur 836, Hartselle 838, Tanner 839, Falkville 840, Priceville 840. It's right now it's 832. Good Hope 842, Coleman 843, Dodge City 843, Somerville 846, Greenbrier 846, Eva and Huntsville right around 850. I'll take this out more. Let's see, that's way too far out. Oh, come on, let me get this. So this is down the road here on the other side over here, Albertville in the Honeycomb Campground area. About 916, Douglas 918, Guntersville 918. About an hour from now. Grant, 921. Guntersville State Park, 924. Pleasant Groves, as you get up farther north, 926. These will all be in the Huntsville metro area around 9 o'clock, so about 30 minutes from now. Quick look at velocity. Nothing changing. Head back to Birmingham velocity. I want to loop that. Man. There's the feed on that there. So this is the most intense wind we're seeing. Heads up in Douglas, 923. This is where we may see winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. So we got Blountsville, 904, Sneed, 917, Douglas, 923, Mount Hebron, 924, and Horton, 926. So that takes it into southern Marshall County around 9:15 or so. And by then we'll have a better look at it. There's also this little notch over here southwest of Hartselle, but you're getting farther from the radar, so let's switch over to And we get different colors because we're looking from different directions. You see some of these winds increasing over here. Southwest of Falkville, these are probably 55 miles an hour. On the southwest side, the Beltline of Decatur, west of Athens. I know some of you, it just looks like big light bright gone wrong. So we'll get you back to your regularly scheduled radar you're used to seeing. So that's it. Let's check the latest from the Weather Service office. All right, County Road 53, Stevenson in Jackson County, tree down in the roadway. That happened about 10 minutes ago. Power outage in Bryant. Let's check Birmingham office. Let's see. Brush fire, man. Springville. Jones Chapel Loop, Springville. Brush fire and all this. Power lines down and arcing at the Outback location, steakhouse in Fultondale. Restaurant being evacuated. And that's in Fultondale, north of Birmingham. Okay, tree in the road, Cherokee County. Tree down in Section. Again, these are all well out ahead of this main line of storms coming in. But man, this is going to be over with before 12 o'clock, so that's good for all of us. Most intense wind, just a little bit of lightning here near Hartselle, west of Coleman. Now moving east to Smith Lake. It's on the east side of Smith Lake, just out east of the dam. We've got some pretty intense wind. We're starting to see more ripples now as we get closer to the radar. So the winds are picking up. Check storm relative. All right, Coleman, get ready. It's coming in. Let me expand the view so you can see up here towards, say, Ardmore. The winds may gust 45, 50 mile an hour here by 9 o'clock. This line will be right along I-65, right around 8:45 to 9 o'clock. Okay, here's a note to anyone in Section. If anyone is using the storm shelter at Section High School, please give yourself time and come in behind the gym. There's a power line down on Highway 71 side, attempting to get it taken care of. Use Section Town Hall or shelter behind the fire station. Again, that's the EMA requesting that from the fire chief. Not that you're going to need it. I mean, we're watching it closely. Usually they don't have those open if there's not a tornado watch out. So, again, that's coming from Jackson County EMA. Watching West Blockton. All right, we're going to get back to the radar. I mean, you guys are there all the time. I'll get my head back on the radar real quick. You can see how we go down to the south. We got warnings all along this line. We don't have any tornado warnings. There was one probably 45 minutes ago, northwest of Mobile. And if you got students down in Auburn, again, this is mainly high wind for them too. Down to Montgomery. You don't see anything down here because the radar is in North Alabama. If I switch to, say, Birmingham, then you can see them all. Those are pretty nasty. A lot of wind. Look at that. That's kind of a crazy looking line here, east of Tuscaloosa. This is what Birmingham's talking about. Let's see what we got on radar. Yeah, that's definitely something you want to watch there. This, again, the National Weather Service Birmingham radars right here north of Calera. So it's got a really good view of that storm there. And we've got rotation developing. We've got strong towards, and this is kind of going to be not as strong away. It's right in that area you watch for, so I'm going to watch this next volume scan here. And see how that goes right there. So again, you've got family down in the Birmingham area. This storm here is moving more towards, I would say, Alabaster, south of Indian Springs Village. As we get farther north, it's not getting as good of a view as what we've got here. We continue with just this bowing echo. This is more of a bow echo there. A little bit of bowing going on between Falkville and Coleman as well. So we'll switch back to the high top radar for that information. It's closer. So some really strong wind near South Vinemont, moving towards Eva, Falkville, all along I-65. A real rough go. May just want to pull over to the side of the road if you're watching on the interstate. Just, you're going to be slowing way down because all this rain's moving east along Highway 31. And there's a real strong crosswind coming in too. High winds here west of Falkville. That's also moving towards Hartselle and Falkville, eventually Somerville. And occasional lightning there. High winds over Smith Lake, moving east. I mean, there's some gusty winds in Athens right now too. There's a pretty clear pattern here. Everything south of 72 is stronger. All right. Switch back over to Birmingham real quick. Nothing. So it's good that we're not getting like a bunch of reports coming in all at once. That's when you know it's getting busy. About to clear Lawrence County out of the severe thunderstorm warning, so they're going to trim that back. So once again, we're tracking a line of storms coming in. It's right now about to cross I-65. That's going to be the worst driving conditions ever. I-65 is bad on a dry day, but especially as you get into Coleman County, right? And that's where the worst of the storm is. It's down just south of Coleman near Warrior, where you go to 3 lanes. But that's what we're watching. Strong gusty winds all ahead of this, though. We continue, even in Fort Payne, even in Albertville. I know the focus is on the main line now, but we've still got strong gusty winds knocking down trees and taking out power lines, things like that. And Hartselle, this will be over. Hartselle, Decatur, Athens. By 9 o'clock, the worst of this is going to be out of the way. So let's get back to radar. Severe thunderstorm warnings continue here for parts of Morgan County. Looks like all of Marshall County's under this. And they're trimming back from western Coleman County to the east. I'm going to check in on that storm near Birmingham in a second. Just kind of let this run. Florence, everyone basically 10 miles west of I-65 is all clear. Still some gusty winds, but nothing like what we've had earlier today. Again, this is just that boundary of that line that comes through. And the model guidance has done a really good job with this too. So let's go to the model guidance real quick. Here we are at about 8:30. It's off by. Well, this is really accurate. See how accurate that model is? Wow. So we got 8:45 here. And then by 9 o'clock, it's just east of I-65. It's moving into Harvest Monrovia around 9:15. Up to Fayetteville, Ardmore, again, 9 to 9:15. And then right through Huntsville along 231, 431, then down to Arab, Eva, Somerville. That's around 9:30. And then Paint Rock Valley just before 10 o'clock. And then it's even, look at that down there in Marshall County. It's even got that little bow in there too. That's kind of wild. That's a pretty accurate model run there. So the intense winds coming into Guntersville and Albertville probably around 10 o'clock. But, you know, severe thunderstorm warning's in effect, so it's got it a little bit earlier than that. And then as we go 1045, Scottsboro, Rainsville, Pisgah, Rosalie, Fife, and then it's over. So just as quickly as it moves in, it's out. Again, no additional reports coming in, so we like to see that. When we start getting report after report after report, it means it's getting a lot more intense. A sip of water. Oh, I guess I'll go check the streaming. What about Somerville? No, Selma does not receive. I mean, anybody can get us if they're on social media. Man, you guys are chatting away here. All right. Back to the radar. See if anything's happened. I'll pause that. We still have that flare up south of Coleman. We'll start there. That wind's pretty intense here now east of I-65. So I would say we've got the most intense wind moving into Hartselle and Falkville and Priceville right now. Again, that is moving east. Let's go ahead and push that east at 50. We'll go 48. So Arab 917, and this is a little different than the model was showing. Langston, about 10 o'clock. Guntersville State Park, 937. Grant, 934. Arab, 917. Morgan City, 911. And then 909 in Lacey's Spring. Somerville, 854. And right around 9 o'clock as well in Eva. Yeah, it's on the doorstep in Eva. Velocity again. I'm not seeing any twisting winds along this line, so that's good. Still some bowing going on down here south of Huntsville. South and west of Huntsville. No debris. Let's switch to the Birmingham radar. Still a very pronounced little bow in here moving towards Bluntsville. Probably just south of Huntsville. And this area down here didn't quite come around, so that's good. That area we were watching that circulation. So just some strong gusty winds down there now. So right now I don't see any tornado warnings imminent for the Birmingham area or our area. I'll switch back to high top. All right. Well, Athens, it's passing through Athens right now, so you're pretty much getting whatever it's going to give you here in the next 10 minutes. I don't really see anything severe in there, just heavy rain. And depending on the reports we get, if we get any damage reports out of Morgan County or Coleman County with this line, they may extend the warnings, but if we don't, they may not even extend the severe thunderstorm warnings. Yeah, Florence, you guys are clear. Well, Madison's going to get just a lot of heavy rain and gusty winds coming through. It looks like there's a big wind gust at the airport right now. See how that area blue just kind of showed up? Again, I mentioned this earlier, near Triana, that's where the air is sinking. So when air sinks on a day like today, usually there's wind coming with it. That weak echo region. Right there. So high winds coming towards Marshall Space Flight Center and Madison, south side of Madison. So another big gust of winds coming through there. Messy, messy winds. All that blue. That's that low-level jet stream coming in. That's pretty wild to just see. Again, when you look at radar, most of the time you're looking at areas that are well above the ground. Our new storm alert crawl looks pretty good. I think it's the first time I've seen it. In action, anyway. Looks like it's a night for blue suits at the joint session of Congress. All right. Just odd what I'm looking at on YouTube is delayed from what I'm actually looking at. Yeah, even the dogs don't want to go out in this weather. Lincoln County, I think the worst of the weather's going to be moving in here in the next few minutes, but I mean, we're talking 50-mile-an-hour gusts probably at most. Let's get back into the radar here. Let's loop this and see the trend here, the wind pattern. Yeah, the highest wind right now is along and just south of 565. West side of Triana, some strong gusty winds. That lines up with the leading edge of that heavy rainfall. So these winds are really peaking directly ahead of this gradient where the wind's coming in and the heavy rain is. There's Somerville, probably going to get gusts to around 55 miles an hour. Eva, east of Coleman now, Huntsville. You may get 60-mile-an-hour winds in Huntsville from this. That's kind of where we've had that pronounced Boeing segment. Warrior, some high wind there. The worst of this weather is now east of I-65, roughly from Athens down to Coleman. And here's that gusty wind just south of Madison. Let's see if this is going to get close to the airport. Oh, it's moving right over the airport, over Toyota Field. So I think that went right over. Now it's over Bridge Street, that blue area. Again, that's where the air is sinking. That's likely some strong gusty winds coming through there. Yeah, go outside and smoke a cigar. I mean, just watch the trees and the wind there, Frankie. If you got trees outside your house, just keep an eye on that. I'm a little jealous, to be honest. Is there a tornado threat west of Chattanooga? Probably not. I don't think we're going to see any tornadoes the way this looks tonight. We're mainly looking at bowing segments and damaging winds. St. Clair County, still watching that area down south. Just lost power in Falkville. Yeah, Clements, you guys were clear out there west of Athens. Arab still watching it. All right, let's get into the radar again. So velocity continues to show strong gusty winds, especially in the Huntsville area. Let's track this again for you guys down in southern Marshall County. So here's probably the most intense wind. I'll put it at 43 miles an hour. I think the eastward movement may be faster. So Union Grove, Arab 918. Douglas 929. So about 35 minutes from now. Mount Hebron 913. Horton 932. Guntersville 934. Albertville 939. Guntersville State Park 943. Mountain Borough 944. I haven't seen any reports out of Coleman, so we'll see if we got any delayed reports. It's like the intense wind moving into Madison and Harvest and Monrovia now too. I'll get closer into there in just a second. Wind is blowing hard in New Hope. Thanks, Tyler. Okay, we got from Marshall County, trees and power lines down on Brashears Chapel Road and Briarwood Drive. Limestone County, we've got power lines and poles down at Old Schoolhouse and Bethel Road. That's out by our old Doppler radar. Let's go up here. That's moving into Harvest and Monrovia. So power lines and poles down Old Schoolhouse and Bethel Road. I'm near French's Mill. Capshaw. Let's see here. There's Pepper Road. I was thinking Bethel Road was real close to the radar site. So we've got some damage, wind damage out here moving towards Capshaw, Magnolia Springs. Really strong wind gusts coming at you. That's basically what we're looking at. And here's the thing with the radar. Oh, there's a little interesting feature there. Some kind of wind shift south of Ardmore. Yeah, the wind's pushing. So we've got pretty strong winds coming into Ardmore. And what's happened, what the challenge is here is the high winds are coming this way, but the Doppler radar is trying to detect them from the opposite direction. So they're not blowing directly towards the Doppler, so it's really hard to see some of these winds over here on Doppler radar. So that's probably why it doesn't look as bad here, but we just got a report there. Meanwhile, these winds going in the same direction, the Doppler radar's here, it's looking that way and it can see it. But as it's looking this way, it doesn't see it as well. So I would think that we're probably getting wind damage here south of Ardmore. I think that's Highway 157 there maybe. Or 251. So that is the area to watch. Moving in from Ardmore, probably 50, maybe 60 mile an hour wind gusts there. And then you see a secondary shift down here, Marshall Space Flight Center, Triana, just to the west of Lacey's Spring. It's going to be Valormosa Springs, Woodland Mills, strong gusty winds. Latest scan coming in. And we're starting to pick up some more out here towards Bridge Street too. Somerville, a little lightning strike there. Heavy rain and wind, and all clear Priceville, Falkville, Hartselle, Decatur, Speake, Moulton. This is all moving east. But it's a little choppy along this line. I'm going to expand that out. There it is. Wind's picking up on the west side of Huntsville, Harvest, Monrovia right now. Power's out in Pisgah. Heavy rain, Somerville. Southwest Huntsville, power out. Horrible wind in Athens. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought's going on. Okay, thanks, Chris. Old Schoolhouse Road is just off of Highway 53, south of Ardmore, which would match exactly what we're talking about. There's Bethel Road. Okay, I was thinking the Bethel Church. So we got Bethel Road here. That's where they had the wind damage. And that's exactly what's going on. That's that line shift up here. Let me rock that back and forth. So, again, radar doesn't have a good look at this. There's a bow echo right there. So there's our damaging wind coming through Ardmore now. Damaging straight line winds moving through Ardmore, right along Highway 251 south there near Brock Road. This is going to be moving up into Tennessee. So let's loop this. So this area moving into Ardmore, moving northeast. I'll put it at 48 miles an hour. So Fayetteville heads up 928, Winchester around 10 o'clock, Deckard 10:02, Harvest it's pretty much there now. Fayetteville 928, Winchester 9:59. We've got a Boeing segment here on this line moving into Ardmore. It has produced damage, or at least power lines. I didn't know what I don't have an instantaneous measure there from the airport. I usually get it updated when it's significant from the Weather Service. So again, that report out of Limestone County, power lines and power poles snapped. That's it. Non-thunderstorm wind gusts 4 miles southeast of Ardmore. I mean, these are all non-thunderstorm in some cases, but this is a little different than the other winds we're getting. We're going to see these winds, probably isolated power outages all along this line as it moves into Harvest. Just now crossing County Line Road. Got Sparkman High School out here. Legacy Elementary, Magnolia Springs, Capshaw. Again, the Doppler radar not sampling this as well because the max winds are coming due south to north, and it's kind of crossing the radial of the Doppler. We're getting some good wind there in Lacey's Spring. That's going to pick up. Somerville, the worst of the rain, and the wind is probably over. They just issued a new severe thunderstorm warning to cover Madison County. They're not going northern Madison County. They probably could extend that all the way north, though. Severe thunderstorm warning for northwestern Marshall County, southwestern Jackson County, central Madison County, and eastern Morgan County until 9:45. Severe thunderstorm warning near Triana or 7 miles south of Redstone Arsenal, moving northeast at 45. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible. Expect damage to roof siding and trees. Locations include Huntsville, Limrock, Valdermosa Springs, Marshall Space Flight Center, Morgan City, Ryland, Whitesburg, Paint Rock, Grant, and Maysville. Okay, watching the surge in the line near Priceville. Maybe some slightly stronger winds here in the central Morgan County will eventually drift northeast out of the warning polygon. We're drawing up a new severe thunderstorm warning for Morgan, Madison. That was the one I just read you. Power's out in Holly Pond. Slaughter Road, Madison, Huntsville, yeah, picking up. Radar scope, Ardmore. Yeah, that's that area. Gust of 55. I'm going to assume that's Madison, yeah. Yep, it's coming in. All right. So let me switch over to the Doppler here real quick. But yeah, even though you're not under severe thunderstorm warning up here near Hazel Green and Fayetteville, this storm has a history of damage here near Ardmore, and it's moving northeast. So that storm's packing a punch on the northern edge of this. It's feeding right into that low-level jet, too. And then the Doppler radar picking up better signature here because of the angle it's coming in. I think that's really what's going on with that. So we got very heavy rain and strong gusty winds now east of Ardmore, right over Harvest, Monrovia, down Highway 53 through Capshaw, Madison, east of County Line Road now, Marshall Space Flight Center, Triana. This area near Lacey's Spring. We got a bit of a line bowing segment in there, so that's going to increase the wind threat too. Get on down to Arab and Joppa, Baileyton, still strong gusty winds there. Yeah, everybody along this line has the potential for damaging winds from Fayetteville through Harvest, Monrovia, Newmarket, Hazel Green, Alabama A&M campus, Huntsville. I'm probably going to step outside when this gets closer and watch it. And there's some kind of a peak of winds here just east of Marshall Space Flight Center. This is moving into South Huntsville, near Lily Flag, Green Cove Road, Redstone Road, Patton Road, south of Martin Road, over Ditto Landing, some strong gusty winds there. And this will likely have more wind as it crosses Green Mountain and Montesano, as it's forced a little bit higher up. You know, they're starting to get a lot more kinks in this line, so I have to keep a closer eye. I'll just leave that loop in there right now. I'll expand it out a little bit. All clear Athens, Decatur, Hartselle, Falkville, Coleman. And if you guys have reports, be sure to be specific on your location. Little lightning in Harvest. Picking up Harvest just off Old Railroad Bed Road. Let me go back and look at some of these comments. Yeah, your weather radio is going to go off. So is our weather app for that severe thunderstorm warning. Off Hill Railroad Bed Road. Yeah, that storm up there, again, it's that area moving towards Fayetteville. All this line is starting to change appearance a little bit. I think it's going to have some influence of the higher terrain. As the terrain changes, the wind is forced to change. Just like when you're walking around a building on a windy day, you go outside, you don't feel any wind, but you go around the corner and all of a sudden the wind picks up. Yeah, it's definitely bowing here, up here. So all along this area, this is kind of the northern extent. We've got potential for damaging winds, and you can see some damaging winds in the radar there in southwest Huntsville. Yeah, this is definitely starting to bow here. This area just south of the Marshall Space Flight Center. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Again, that's going to move across Huntsville, mainly South Huntsville. I'll do that, and then I'm going to change the speed to about 49 miles an hour. So this one here is moving towards Lacey's Spring now. I'd probably stay away from my windows if I was in the path of this one. Grissom High School 917, Owens Crossroads 925, Gurley 933, Woodville 939, Pleasant Groves 945, Scottsboro around 10 o'clock, and Hollywood a little after 10 o'clock. Again, this is bowing out, so we may get some 60-mile-an-hour winds with this as it continues getting in closer. This is right over the Marshall Space Flight Center. The fact we're getting a little bit of lightning would show you the intensity of this. And we got Lily Flag, Big Cove, velocity again, storm relative. And yeah, there's that line break. Yeah, see how that's separated in here? Now, we're going to have to keep a close eye on these as they continue moving east. There's just a lot of waves in this. There's some very high wind. Could be close to 60-mile-an-hour winds in some of this. Let's take a look here. Yeah, they're going to be probably 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds coming through. There'll be trees and power lines down. I'll go back up here west of Fayetteville. Yeah, mainly straight line wind coming in there to Fayetteville as well. All right, back to the Weather Service. Check what they're working on here. Okay, we got a tree down the 400 block of Swearingen Road in Grant out of Marshall County. Wow, just had a 61-mile-an-hour wind gust at the Huntsville International Airport. Okay, yep, that means business. Section Fire Department reporting power poles broke and trees down. Someone had a max gust of 26 in Harvest. So it's not equal in all areas, but 61-mile-an-hour wind gust just reported in Huntsville International Airport. So That's probably the strongest actual recorded wind gust we've had today. So expect damage here from this part of the storm. In this area here. Again, I need to change the speed of that. We're probably going to get more reports of issues here. So this is moving towards Grissom High School area, Gurley or 933, Woodville 937, Pleasant Groves 943, Skyline 951, and Hollywood 957. We've had confirmed 61-mile-an-hour wind gust with this. And that is where that Boeing segment is. And it's has reached the TV station. So the area of highest wind is right over the Marshall Space Flight Center, tracking east. So it's getting closer here. So that's, again, moving. Going to be impacting the Garth Road, the Drake Avenue area, Whitesburg Drive, up the ledges. So if you live up in the ledges, your winds are really going to increase. You probably are going to see 65 to 70 mile an hour gusts up there because it's going to have to climb almost 600 feet or so as it works its way up. Still don't see any tornado circulations, but that wind is rocking. I'll leave that loop in here. Yeah, I'm seeing someone's report from Tishomingo State Park. They had a big mess over there earlier today. Unfortunately, someone killed when the tree fell on their car as they were driving down the road. Wicked wind in South Huntsville. Yeah, that's that 60-mile-an-hour wind moving into Huntsville. Really bad by gate. Yeah, that's it. Green lightning. Those are power flashes. Yeah, power flashes. That's not green lightning. You got transformers blowing. Power's out in Madison, Mid-City. You might get those 60-plus winds east, especially if this gains momentum. I'm going to step outside real quick. I'll let you guys hear the roar, or you guys can probably... There's my Sprite can. Okay. A very intense wind continues all along this line, moving to Fayetteville. South Huntsville's getting rocked right now. It's just heavy rain at the station. I mean, there's barely any wind at all. Different stories. You get about 10 miles south of here, though. Winds are really rocking down there south of Arab, near Sneed, moving towards Douglas. Probably going to have wind damage in Douglas in about 25 minutes. At least my truck's getting washed. Yeah, those are some intense winds. All right. Let me know what you guys got going. And again, I apologize. I'm mostly on YouTube here with this. I'll go check Facebook. Man, that's intense in South Huntsville. All right, 30-mile gust by gate 3. No power. I mean, there's a lot of power out in the city of Madison. Southeast Huntsville off Hobbs. Window panel blown out. Man. Old Highway 20 near I-565. So that's where we've got a camera. Let's see if... Yeah, I was waiting for someone to say beer cans. That was the Sprite can that was in my coffee mug I dropped earlier. Yeah, I don't know where power's out in Douglas, the High Point area. I don't know exactly where the delay comes in on some of these. All right, heavy rain hitting Huntsville now, but the concern is the high wind, especially as you get south of I-565. That's moving towards Maysville. Hazel Green, the wind's picking up there. Yeah, Arab, man. The wind might be even stronger down here, moving towards Guntersville. There's more lightning down here near Sneed. So, again, stay away from your windows down here in southern Marshall County with this storm coming in. It's really intense. This is probably the worst storm we have right now in North Alabama, just near Sneed. Going to have to watch for a spin up here within this. We've got... Yeah, there's some rotation there. Shear rate. Yep. Heads up in Douglas. Let's see what happens with this area near McClarty as that's moving east. So from Brooksville to Sneed, moving towards Douglas, stay away from your windows. Your winds may peak over 60 miles an hour. We had an actual wind gust in Huntsville of 61 miles an hour. This looks more intense than that other line. Keep watching storm relative velocities, the shear rate. They're at least going to reissue severe thunderstorm warning with that. Yeah, see, the storm relative velocity is the best thing to use because this velocity here doesn't quite show the whole picture. What storm relative does is it subtracts the motion of the storm, and we have some circulation here. It's not really all that tight, but it's there, so it's just definitely something we want to keep an eye on. Let's see if the Weather Service is talking about that. Nothing yet. They're entering back in with a severe thunderstorm watch possible for northeast Alabama. I mean, this would be a real short-fused watch for sure. So again, that's probably the strongest thing to rotation we've had on radar in our viewing area. And that is moving towards Albertville and Douglas. But, it's not total rotation coming around. Definitely very windy there. You can see the shear rate's pretty much maxing out here. Again, that's an algorithm. Moving towards Horton and Douglas. Something we'll keep an eye on. Let me give you a heads up on that. Let's take this forward, this area here. Horton around 9:32. Albertville 9:43. Crossville 10:03. Geraldine 10:05. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Lots of wind Owens Crossroads. Yep. Get back on Facebook real quick. Power out in Union Grove Road. Albertville, you need to be ready to be, I would say, stay away from your windows in this situation. Yeah, storm relative velocity is not kind of crossing back over. So there's definitely high wind coming in here. Could see 60-mile-per-hour winds coming in there. It just gets messier the closer it gets to the radar, doesn't it? So all clear, Harvest, Monrovia, Ardmore, Madison, Decatur, down to Eva, Somerville. Even Arab, I think you're all clear too. Well, the rain really let up here. I can't hear it anymore. Yeah, east side of Huntsville, still keep an eye on that storm. I don't see much Sand Mountain magic tonight just because there's no instability. Yeah, everything west of I-65 is clear. And some of you, again, may not be seeing lightning. It may be, if it's kind of turquoise, it's a transformer due to the high winds. Well, I'm live. I don't know why it says it must be a delay somewhere. Non-thunderstorm wind damage east of Dutton. New severe thunderstorm warning. This one all goes up to, includes Scottsboro, Fort Payne, and Rainsville. Yeah, these winds are really ramping up, moving into Guntersville and Albertville. This wind is ripping. Stay away from your windows here. Guntersville, Albertville, Douglas, and Horton. And it's moving towards Rainsville and Fort Payne. Again, I'm mainly concerned with winds that may be over 60 miles an hour here. You can see that really just ripping. That blue area, that's the leading edge of the higher winds. You get the wind shift here. Quick update here up in Tennessee. That high wind's now moving into Fayetteville. And there's still some high wind here on the east side of Huntsville over Green Mountain, moving towards Gurley and Maysville. But I think by far the more intense wind's probably going to be down there in Marshall County. It's rocking. Latest from the Weather Service at 9:26 p.m. Severe thunderstorm warning for Marshall County, southern Jackson County, southeastern Madison County, DeKalb County until 10:30. Hour-long warning. Severe thunderstorms located along a line extending from 8 miles east of Morgan City to 6 miles northeast of McClarty to near Altoona, moving east at 50. The hazard is 60-mile-per-hour straight-line winds. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees, fences, things like that. Flying trampolines. Locations impacted include High Point, Eider, Pine Ridge, Pisgah, Rosalie, Painter, Union Grove, DeSoto State Park, Crossville, and Henniger, and all points in between. So, storm's flaring up right over Douglas right now, moving towards Guntersville and Albertville at 50 miles an hour. Yeah, that area somewhat broad rotation is gone, but we've got these little couplets in here which indicate high wind. So high wind, straight line wind coming into Guntersville, Albertville. I think this is probably right over Douglas now. Yeah, just now northeast of Douglas, so the worst of the weather's behind you. Then Douglas, it'll be over in about 5 minutes in Horton. That is just a line of intense wind. Should be over by 11 o'clock tonight, everybody, so that's good. Forecast has been pretty on. I mean, we haven't had as many of those 70-mile-per-hour gusts, but I'm okay with that. And across the country today, just 2 reports of tornadoes around Shreveport. Mostly just high wind. Yeah, Coleman's all clear. Boaz, we're still watching that area. Harvest and Madison, you guys are clear. Yeah, it'll get quiet. Oh, thanks. Check my email real quick. I haven't checked that for a few hours. Yeah, we're going to get a lot of similar reports of just trees down, power lines down. Again, we'll be dropping our first alert weather day at midnight. It's still going to be breezy tomorrow, but it won't be this terrible wind we've had to deal with today. It's going to be colder and windy. So as far as the radar looks, some much needed rain behind the red line, and that red line is pretty much the end of the severe weather. So kind of draw this out. This is all surging to the east-northeast at 50 miles an hour. Everything behind here, all clear. Just be careful out there if you got to drive around. There could be trees down that haven't been reported. It's dark. If there's a power outage, it's harder to see that tree across the road. Actually having a little hail there in Marshall County, probably small. Weather Service is all over that storm down there in Marshall County. Talking about that line break. We've got sinking air, strong gusty winds. This is really flexing as it goes into Guntersville. A little bit of hail here. So very strong winds now in Guntersville as you go up the mountain to Albertville. I'd stay away from your windows. Had a few reports of someone's window being blown out. Yeah, definitely lightning too. That's a very electrical storm moving into Albertville and also near Boaz. It's definitely bowing out. Ooh. Yeah, stay away from your windows in Albertville. You may want to get to the center of your home, too, as this comes in. It's coming right up Horton Road. Very high winds. Along West Main Street. Again, this has the potential for maybe that 70-mile-an-hour wind gust we've been talking about. The shear rate's kind of maxing out on the west side of town. But we've got very intense wind coming into Albertville right now. And that was pea-size hail there from the EMA. Douglas. So a little bit of pea-size hail makes for a little bit more noise. Guntersville down to Albertville, the strongest winds right now. We got this burst of wind on the west side of Guntersville, also in Albertville. And that's where we have all this lightning too. So again, we watch those areas where we have significant lightning. Got hail in it, probably pea-size Hunter. Hunter just went to the closet. Yeah, there's probably trees falling in that area. So intense wind in Albertville right now. We're probably getting wind and wind damage, power outages here. This is moving up towards Huntsville. Let's get a storm track on this in case you guys lose power to the east of this storm. Just a lot of wind coming in here. So let's go from near Guntersville to Albertville. I'm going to push it that way at about 44. Guntersville State Park, 942. It's now 936. Crossville, 952, 53. Geraldine, 953. Fife, 1005. Shiloh, 1007. Powell, 1010. Rainsville, 1011. Pine Ridge, 1013. Dogtown, 1013. Fort Payne, around 1018. Hammondville, 1032. Valley Head, 1032. Mentone, 1035. Got out of Huntsville, a couple power lines down near Hazeland Road and Memorial Parkway. Yeah, Dogtown, that's where everybody gets their furniture. Yeah, I'm all clear at the station. There's nothing here. It's just raining. The wind has died down. Okay, again, this storm track is for high winds coming in, possibility of power outages, trees down, power lines down, and there's a lot of lightning. There's some small hail here. But a classic Boeing signature, definitely indicating high wind here. East side of Guntersville. This is going to go towards Huntsville. I think this is Highway 75. Go ahead and put that in motion. That area's starting to surge out a little bit more too. And usually that's an indicator that the upper level winds are really influencing the movement here, speeding it up. So damaging winds probably in Albertville now, east side of Guntersville, right at the state park, Lake Guntersville. And you get near Grant, and there's another area that's near the Honeycomb Campground as you make that bend on Highway 431. That area there is worth watching for some high winds as well. So that's right here. And it's really all along this line that's bowing out. And we're getting closer to the radar. We're in a really good vantage point of the radar to be able to tell if there's a tornado or not. This looks to be mostly just damaging straight line wind. But this storm's probably going to continue on as it moves northeast. All right. Weather Service talking about how as this storm moves through Marshall County, it's reorienting itself from north-south to northeast to southwest, becoming more perpendicular to our low-level shear vectors and parallel to our surface winds, which doesn't mean too much, but it's enhancing the concern. They'll have to watch for spin-up tornadoes. That'll be over the next hour. Dime-size hail now in Albertville. All right, go back down here into this storm. Man, I got to take some of this off. So the highest wind is now moved northeast of Albertville. It is on the way into DeKalb County, and it's going to go pretty much just along and east of the Tennessee River, Lake Guntersville. So watching for winds to increase as this approaches Rainsville and Fort Payne. Latest volume scan. Again, we're not seeing tornado signatures here right now. Mostly, I think what's happening is that this line is separating from the initial line. It's got a bit of a kink in the line. There's a lot of wind shear there. High winds in Albertville. Let me know if you guys get any damage in Albertville. Dime size hail. Yeah, power surge near Grant. Yeah, I think you're all clear in Joppa. Yeah, they may have issued that severe thunderstorm watch. Let's see if I got anything over here. But, I mean, that severe thunderstorm watch doesn't really matter now because we're kind of well into this event. I think I might have deleted it. But it's only it'll be done at 11 o'clock. What happens is they'll put those watches out, and it's the end time when they expect the line to be at the end of the watch is when that watch expires. There we go. Let's see what they got. Yeah, there's a severe thunderstorm watch. Let me edit that. Yeah, my chat's so full of messages. Still blowing hard in Arab. I don't think the app is slow. You may be on future radar. That's one of the problems on our app sometimes is it defaults to future radar. So it looks like it's old, especially if it's not up to date with what's going on. Set that, delete that. I need to find out what time they expire this watch. It's probably like 2 a.m. or something. It's a really short watch. And they've got high wind warnings out now. In Georgia and up into, they said 3 a.m. Yeah, it's not going to go to 3 a.m. for us. That's for sure. But to be official, 3 a.m. This will be canceled out before midnight for our viewing area. Back to the radar. I need to remove that hit windshield. All right. Let me get back over here and see if I missed anything. Nope. Facebook real quick. What does yellow, those yellow polygons are severe thunderstorm warnings. The yellow on the watch would indicate where the severe thunderstorm watch is. And yellow on the radar is moderate rain. All right, big bow echo. Now east of Guntersville, all clear Guntersville. Still gusty winds over here, especially on the back side of this. We're getting kind of a notch here too. Yeah, I got to keep a close eye on this area south of Langston, north of Geraldine. All right, here's where we have to watch for that spin up potential. So let me give you a heads up in case you lose power. It's gonna, if we get anything, it's gonna be this area right in here. It keeps going back and forth though, I will tell you that. It's moving more northeast too. So Geraldine 952, Langston 953, 10 o'clock, section 10 o'clock, Shiloh 10:02, Northeast Alabama Community College 10:03, Powell 10:03, Dutton 10:05, Rainsville 10:05, Pine Ridge 10:08, Fort Payne 10:13, Henniger 10:15, Hammondville 10:21, and Valley Head 10:21. Again, that's the most intense part of this line where we're most concerned with the velocity data we're showing. Definitely a bowing segment with the potential for damaging straight line winds within that area. Let's check my batteries. All right, I got enough power. Yeah, south-southwest of Grant, some non-thunderstorm wind damage. Power's out in Guntersville, some areas. Wind's trying to suck the doors open at the nursing home at Boaz. Yeah, it's high. I mean, very high wind here. You get south here. Yeah, this is as that's passing through. It just moved through Boaz, the worst of it. And there's just a lot of wind here moving towards Geraldine. I'd stay away from your windows in all these areas. Langston, Fife, Geraldine. Moving into Crossville now too. But overall, there's no tight circulation here. Up there near Huntland, we've got some strong gusty winds on the west side there too. Yeah, someone was mentioning the area down in the Point Clear area. Yeah, I saw that from the Mobile next rad. It looks like a possible tornado there, spinning up. Again, we're talking about down towards Mobile, not in our area. So if you saw someone talking about that, that's down in the Mobile area. Some nasty storms coming in through DeKalb and southern Jackson County. Just a classic bowing signature here that often leads to damaging straight line winds. And on occasion, you can get spin up tornadoes. Oh, when I say high wind, we're talking high speed. Yep, got to watch this area right here. So this is, again, this is headed straight for Powell, Northeast Alabama Community College, section, Dutton, Langston, eventually Henniger. Be close to Fife. And even down here towards Geraldine, don't want to forget you guys, down to Crossville. There's some high wind in here. It's just a strong area of wind. There's no real tight couplet here, we call it. And as we go into our newscast, I'll leave the radar up here, but you won't be able to hear me talk. Well, you'll probably hear the newscast in the background. Here's that area near Huntland I was mentioning. That just showed up out of nowhere, that little burst here. That was wild. Let me go slowly on that. That's wild. See how that just flared up near Newmarket? And then it's over. I don't know what that looks like on regular velocity radar. That was just a strong gust of wind. So let's do velocity over here. I'm going to turn off this lightning just because it blocks what we need to see sometimes. Windy, windy, windy in Langston. It's like the higher winds are moving east of Woodville and Grant right now. Max wind is going to be Langston to Geraldine, eventually over to Fife and Rainsville. Still some strong wind here in the east of the Ryland area. That's near Paint Rock and just west of Woodville. This is just wild to look at. Look at all the shape here. You've got, this is what I mean, like it's like a river. The wind's coming in this way, the storm's moving this way. It's just constantly fluid motion moving through the air. And that's why we can't tell you specifically what's going to happen when 5 hours out even. And a lot of pea-sized hail in Albertville from this earlier. Yeah, Madison's good. You guys go to bed. After the 10 o'clock news, of course. Looks like we may be going on late. Highest wind gust actually recorded was 61 miles an hour. And that was in Huntsville. Yeah, most of the high wind has now moved on, but there's still some gusty winds behind all this. But our biggest concern is this arcing area that's near Goose Pond Colony down to the south. This is all clearly into Jackson, DeKalb County now, with these storms moving through. Even the southern fringes down here. But again, the severe threat is really over for Marshall County. There's still some strong gusty winds. There's still maybe isolated trees down, kind of like what we had earlier, but that will slowly subside. Yeah, we had a much stronger signature as we go back here. These high winds as this moved through Albertville. And that has kind of slowed down a bit, so there's some good news there. Our newscast starting here in about 5 minutes. Oh, I think. How late are we going on? Do we know? Okay. Yeah, you guys are still on the other side there in Scottsboro. Pisgah, same thing there. Grove Oak, Chattanooga, this is all coming through you, so you're probably going to get damaging winds around, probably going to be, what, midnight your time? Bridgeport, we're watching these high winds. The worst of it may end up just south of you. And where's that 80-acre wildfire? Somebody just said, how's Crossville looking? We've had a few trees down. Now we have an 80-acre wildfire. Is that in the Crossville area? Yeah, Tullahoma, you guys, same thing on the other side. You're on the east side of all this. Yeah, the broad rotation near Langston, we were talking about that. Okay. And it's still not as tight as it was earlier. Again, this is just east of Langston. It's all moving towards Section and Dutton. Again, this is where we have to climb that bluff up to Section. So if we're going to get any of that Sand Mountain magic, it's going to happen here in the next 20 minutes. If. And the highest velocity is still away from that, so it's a very broad rotation there.
It's still a.
Yeah, Arab and Guntersville, you're good now. That threat is off to your east. There's still some gusty winds a possibility. Not totally out of the woods yet here in Jackson and DeKalb County. Those are going to be the last counties to clear, and then up in towards Winchester, Tennessee. But the worst of it's south of Scottsboro. Okay, the president's wrapping up. Looks like we're going on time, maybe. Man, that's some. I don't think these are reaching the surface, but I mean, probably looking at some 60-mile-an-hour winds at least here, maybe 70. As you get over here, up in the higher elevation near Dutton, this is going to be Section, Rosalie, Pisgah. So right now, it doesn't look like any imminent tornado threat, but we are still watching this area closely from Fife, just to the west of Rainsville. Yeah, Limestone County, you guys are clear. Skyline, you are not clear. Not yet, anyway. It's close to being that way. Yeah, there's still some rain to the west of you. You'll be clear in about 30 minutes. Ugh. I'll be right back. Getting ready for the 10 here coming up. So that's kind of our broad view. The rain is over for Florence. You're probably going to see a quick clearing too. And the stars out. The winds are going to be out of the west at about 20 miles an hour behind all this. But the severe threat continues from Scottsboro south and even up to Winchester. I'm not quite convinced we don't have a few isolated severe wind gusts in that. Yes, I'm going to stay on.
Hey, Haley, are you in the booth? Can you tell Paul to take the sound out of the studio because Brad is still streaming?
Thank you. Thanks, Hunter. Tracy City, Tennessee. Let me look that up. Up in Tennessee, let's go up the Tracy City area. This is all mainly just heavy rain from Shelbyville, Winchester, McMinnville. There's probably still some wind gusts around 40 miles an hour. The main concern up in Tennessee is going to be the higher terrain. This is just a wild looking, messy radar. Wow, see how that's bowing out so much? That's just all that wind shear coming into play. Really strong winds now as this is going up the bluff to section, probably 60 mile an hour. But we're seeing this separation of where we had this rotation, this broad rotation. So we're losing some of that as it's kind of stretching out. So that's actually some good news. Lightning still most intense on the southern edge of this, and there's still that potential for some small hail. That's going to be from Dutton down to Fife. There it goes. Boy. It's kind of interesting what's going on here because you get the southern edge here. If any of you have been over from Scottsboro, you take that drive across the bridge and you climb up the bluff. We're seeing kind of this separation of the higher terrain here, not as high. Of course, you get a different mountainous, but it's climbing sand. It's going up Sand Mountain here. So I think that's where we're seeing this unique little movement here with the velocity data. You see how some of that's going kind of north. And we're getting some overall circulation within that, almost like a, I don't want to say comma head quite yet. I will be glad when this storm is out of the area, and that'll be around 11 o'clock tonight. This area here, Rainsville, that wind's probably as strong as it's been all day. Had a few people near Chattanooga asking about this area. Yeah, we're starting to see more of a comma head in this, which is not good. So it's in Dutton now. Hollywood 1010, Sylvania 1010, Pisgah 1013, Rosalie 1018. Eider 1022, Hammondville 1025, Valley Head 1026, Mentone 1029, and then we're kind of crossing over into the Georgia, Trenton around 1040. So this line will be out of here by 11 o'clock. latest thing on the helicity. Golly, storm relative helicity is like over 900. There's just a tremendous amount of wind shear in the air right now. Still concerned with this area it's really right along the bridge. I think that's Veterans Drive over there, Scottsboro, as you cross the bridge, and then eventually you're going up towards the nuclear power plant, the old one over here. There's just a big line separation there. So it looks totally different when you're looking at storm relative velocity than regular base velocity. It's kind of a unique pattern here. I think maybe it can't quite figure out exact. With the storm relative, you get a clearer picture of what's going on. So there's some good news there. But, I mean, the storm's still bad. It's still producing a lot of wind. Pea-size hail, I assume, in Rainsville. Yeah, this is all shifting quickly east of Scottsboro. Fort Payne, let's take a look. We're going to get some high winds coming into Fort Payne very soon. The heaviest rain is still west of you near Fife. This is coming in, isolated damaging winds all along this line, Crossville, Fife, probably 55, I think at most 60 miles an hour. Still looking at this presentation of the radar signature here. So you get just to the west of Dutton and Rosalie. Yeah, these are just very strong winds east of Scottsboro. Now it's shifting north. Just might see a new severe thunderstorm warning for Stevenson, Bridgeport, if this kind of arcs up to the north. But boy, that wind is roaring there towards Henniger, Rainsville, and eventually Fort Payne. This will all be on the state line with Georgia by 11 o'clock. That's when that threat's over for everyone. Man, western Kansas had wind gusts today of 93, 85, 83 miles an hour. My goodness. That's that Kansas wind I remember. Some of that highest wind right now is from Hollywood to Pisgah to Henniger, Sylvania. We're getting closer to the radars too, so that's why you're not going to get kind of that cone of silence. Yeah, the worst of it's now east of Scottsboro. Trying to sneak up on you in Stevenson and Hollywood. Definitely over Hollywood. We've got a lot of wind there. I'd stay away from your windows there in Hollywood as this comes through. This is now north of Belfont and Hollywood, so it's the Fackler area that's got the highest winds. I would say these are pretty accurate. 70 mile an hour, maybe 60, 70 mile per hour winds. We're really close to the radar, and when we get in that situation, so we likely have damaging winds here northeast of Hollywood on Highway 72. There's a lot of wind there. It's really close to the radar, so. This is all becoming more typical, just straight line wind. This is clearly right up on the mountain now, so it's not really getting that influence. It's all kind of the same terrain here from Henniger. Of course, it changes a bit when you go from Rainsville down Wills Valley to Fort Payne. A little bit of lightning here west of Scottsboro. Well, the lightning's really dropped off, so that's good. As I say that, there's a little spike here near Henniger. All right. Looks like we're going to continue to watch these areas move northeast. I'd say, even though the lightning's picking up there in Scottsboro, a year free of the 50 plus mile per hour winds there. Quick check down south for those with students down in the Birmingham area, and also down eventually Alexander City, get down to Auburn. Entire line of severe thunderstorms moving through Montgomery. They can expect high winds in Auburn. Well, they've had them all day, but the intense line is coming into Auburn. Nasty storm in Montgomery now. This will be moving into Auburn around 10:57, so around 11 o'clock tonight. Same thing in Opelika. That's where all the instability is. More lightning kind of coming out here near Henniger. All right, I'm going to change my batteries. Okay, here's what's going on. I talked about this. They're putting a new severe thunderstorm warning up to cover northeast Jackson County. All right, everyone, I'm back. Fresh batteries. New severe thunderstorm warning out. I believe that's going to include Stevenson. Severe thunderstorm warning for northeast Jackson County until 10:45 p.m. Severe thunderstorm near Stevenson or 10 miles south of Bridgeport, moving northeast at 55 miles an hour. 60-mile-an-hour winds a possibility. There it is, the little bitty one that just popped up. So, Scottsboro, you're pretty much all clear. There's still some lightning and gusty winds, but the worst wind is here. Man, that is probably 60, 70-mile-an-hour winds here. Yeah, we've got some really high wind up here moving into Stevenson. Stay away from your windows there. And watch for falling trees. Excuse me, power outages. This is coming in from the south. It's starting to shrink some, but again, it's getting closer to the radar. That's why sometimes that does that. That air is sinking too. So again, damaging straight line winds looking likely in Stevenson up to Bridgeport. All clear in Henniger, all clear Rainsville, Sylvania. The worst of it's coming through Fort Payne right now. All clear Fife, Geraldine, Crossville. Dime size, Pisgah. I'd say the winds in Fort Payne maybe around 50. Going through some of my email. Joe Wheeler has 1,100 people without customers without power. Largest outages in Falkville. I'm just getting around to looking at email. A lot of these are tree limbs, tree branches, trees down. Yeah, we've had a lot of trees down. So everything's kind of gone as forecast. We lose audio from them? Or did my battery die? Huh? Okay. Okay. 10:23. Okay. Okay, never mind. We're getting ready to go on TV.
Tonight at 10, President Trump praises his team's accomplishments and talks about what's next for a joint session of Congress. And a congressman escorted out, signs of protests, and even a few laughs. Tonight's presidential speech had it all. The highlights just ahead. Plus, strong wind and storms race through the Tennessee Valley. Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis has the latest on this line of storms. Good evening, everyone. Let's jump right into this first alert weather day with strong storms pushing through the valley tonight. The story here in the valley has been the wind. Brad, what's the latest on the radar?
We're still looking at severe thunderstorms that are in northeastern Alabama, so this will all be over with probably by the end of this newscast as everything moves into Georgia. Let's go right to the radar. Everything's kind of gone as expected. We have had some hail reports, mostly pea to dime size with this last surge over here in DeKalb County. Still a lot of wind going on within this storm as well, but we don't have any signs of rotation, no tornadoes, and it doesn't look like we're going to have to deal with that as we go through at least the next 30 minutes or so. So we take a look at velocity, very strong winds moving through Eider down to Valley Head, and these will be the last severe thunderstorm warnings of the night. Everything else pretty much all clear. In fact, the stars are going to be coming out from west to east as we go later into the overnight hours. Current temperatures still warm for this time of year. 61 and raining in Scottsboro, 59 and mostly clear in Muscle Shoals. A windy day ahead tomorrow. The wind will pick up in the morning. Wind gusts out of the northwest under a cloudy sky around 30 miles per hour, making it feel much cooler. I'll have another radar update and a look at your forecast for the rest of the week coming up.
Well, the wind has been intense tonight. Power lines were no match for the gusts. Thousands don't have power at this hour across the valley. WAFF 48's Nick Ballinger is live along Gann Avenue in Madison, where utility crews are clearing trees from power lines. Nick, 400 customers don't have power in Madison County at this point, but they're working fast.
Yeah, Barbara, they absolutely are. The tree cutting company got here just about half an hour ago. They had it cleared in about 15 minutes. It's a utility crew that's here behind me. And this wasn't even a big tree. It's a small tree that was knocked over by the wind and pulled down this power line here. It's been a constant downpour. I mean, you could take my phone, swing it out, and probably fill it like a gallon jug of water, but it's not the rain, it's too much for the turn, it's the wind. And as you can see, this tree took down power line, and others took out power lines in Trinity. All the crews took out power lines. And seeing that forecast, local utility crews know it's going to be a long night.
All right, everyone, I'm going to shut down the stream, and you guys can get more information if you want to turn into the broadcast tonight. Again, this is all going to be over with in about 30 minutes. Still watching that storm near Eider, a lot of wind, also Bridgeport, and down to Henniger and Valley Head. But again, there's your 3-day forecast. It's going to start warming back up by Friday. Thanks for tuning in, guys.